Tooltips in TFT can be sometimes misleading. The problem is that Riot wants to keep the text short and not overload new players with a ton of information. But sometimes information still gets lost in the process. To combat this problem, Riot included a detailed inner workings of an ability below the description for the more invested players who want to learn everything about the game. Unfortunately, it is still possible for information to be unclear in this new system, which brings us to today's topic, Ugot. This all started because I was investigating a myth about Urgot gaining way too much AD from a Ginzo's Rageblade. The way Urgot is supposed to work is that he converts bonus attack speed into attack damage for 8 seconds. It's not the first time that we have a mechanic like this. Almost every version of Jhin that ever existed in TFT had a fixed attack rate with attack speed converting into attack damage. If we take Jhin from set 10, then we can see in his Maestro trait that 1% bonus attack speed converts into 0.7 attack damage. However, if we look at Urgot, then it becomes a bit unclear what exactly is happening. The only information we have available is that his attack speed is being converted during his ability. I tested a few different setups for Urgot and it quickly became clear what is happening. Urgot has a base AD of 60 for 1 star, 90 for 2 star and 135 for 3 star. Let's make an example with Deathblade on Ugot 2 star. He has 90 base AD, with Deathblade granting plus 55% AD. If we multiply 1.55 with 90, then we can see he ends up with 140 AD. For the next example, let's swap out the Deathblade with a red buff. This item grants 45% attack speed. Once Urgot starts his ability, all of the attack speed is now converted into AD. This conversion is at a 1-to-1 rate. This means that the 45% attack speed from red buff are now considered 45% AD. So we have to multiply 1.45 with 90 and we end up with around 131 AD. So what exactly is the difference between Deathblade and red buff during his cast? Both items grant 8% bonus damage, so the main difference is that Deathblade in this example grants 9 AD more, while red buff grants you an AoE burn effect. You can also make the argument that there is a small difference in between his casts, but with his 20 base mana, I don't think this is really worth talking about. If we take a look at recommended items for Ugot, it becomes quite clear that red buff is an absolute powerhouse of an item for him. His 2 best performing item trios both include red buff, and it's not hard to see why. If you get Urgot to 3 star, you get a whopping 61 AD from red buff without having to use any BF swords. This allows you to use the swords for Bloodthirster on Urgot or maybe some AD items on Samira for an overall stronger setup. If you're curious about Ginzo's Rageblade, don't be. Remember that Urgot cannot utilize bonus attack speed to stack the item faster. Fights are often so explosive that you want to be strong at the beginning and not have to worry about scaling. So to summarize, it turns out that Urgot is not bugged with Ginzo or attack speed, he just has really good scaling thanks to his high base AD. I hope you learned something and see you next time.